Okay, we're trying one more time. Hello, everybody. There's this weird echo that keeps happening. So it hasn't happened on any of the other interviews, so I'm not sure why. But could just be the connection today. It's sunny here, so I don't know why. Um, Hi, Jess. Let us know. It seems fine now. Let's see. When she Let's see how it sounds. We were having technical difficulties.
Okay. Better or worse?
As soon as you come on, it's annoying.
Oh, I'm so sorry. All right, let me try to get off the Wi-Fi.
Maybe.
Maybe if I don't know. Let's see.
Okay, say something. Oh,
Hi. Damn it. I'm so sorry.
it's okay.
I'm cursed. I'm completely cursed. Oh. What can I do? Is there anything else we can do? Because I don't want to keep it going if it's like echoing. That's the worst.
Try using the headphones.
Yeah, let's try that. Is that better?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I think it is.
Yeah?
Tell us, everybody, if that's right.
Does this sound better to everyone or what? Yeah? I don't know. Hope so.
Well,
Let's see.
I don't hear the echo anymore. So I hear it like a low, just a little bit. Okay, let's try.
Yeah? Okay.
Oh,
All right,
it's
well,
good.
we'll keep an eye.
Okay. She says it's
Is
great.
okay?
Yeah.
It's great. Perfect. Okay. Yay. Okay, perfect. So, hi everyone. Yay.
Okay, go for it.
First of all, Christine, thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm so excited to be sharing a coffee with you. I wish we could do it in real life.
Yes.
Hopefully
So tell
soon.
everyone again. So what are you drinking?
So I am drinking just a nice drip coffee with a little heavy cream because that's my drink of choice. What about you?
Yeah, from our Keurig. Actually, it's Dunkin' Donuts,
Yeah,
store bought with
oh, girl.
sugar-free French vanilla. So.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, tell everyone what you do and what we attended yesterday.
Did yesterday. Okay, so my name's Victoria and I'm the founder of Ugly Ventures. So I am a consultant and together with my partner, we aim to help women think bigger about their businesses and give them the tools to grow. So what does that mean? I'm primarily focused on sales and marketing. So I help women set up their marketing departments and kind of how to organize their marketing. And whether it's on a small scale or a larger scale, even if you're just managing one assistant, I sort of help set up the systems and the procedure in place that's going to help sort of organize your marketing and have it bring in sales. So that's at the basic sales and marketing level. And we also help entrepreneurs as they're going to seek funding. So helping get their deck and their financials in order, and then help make connections and introductions to investors. So that's something that's so that's something that I've been working on for about the past year. I think since kind of the last time that you and I really saw each other face to face.
Yeah.
Right. And then, and that sort of started once I took a leadership role in SoGal, which is the community that I'm heading up here in Miami, but it's an international community. So SoGal was started by two female venture capitalists, one from Singapore and the other from New York. And they, of course, had a lot of fame as being 30-something young venture capitalists, and they had a lot of successful companies they invested in. And what they had seen through that experience, of course, playing in a very sort of older male-dominated world, was that there was such a need for education, for networking, and so they started SoGal Foundation. internationally. And one of the big aims of the organization is to connect founders and funders. But it's more than that. It's about opening really women and traditionally underrepresented founders, opening their eyes to thinking bigger about their business, sort of what my mission is as well. Having more voices at the table, asking for investment, believing that they can get funded, making their companies, building them in a way that has an internal structure where they can grow and scale with cash infusions and things like that. Because again, in a lot of these second tier cities like Miami or in Atlanta or in Houston that aren't necessarily Silicon Valley, New York, it's difficult to make those connections with the investors. And there's a lot of education that needs to happen on the investor side as well, to give them confidence that the talent in these places are worthy of investment and things like that. There's no shortage of money, but it's about giving the education and the connection. So in my own company, it's sort of the step before the funding happens. So to be able to get the systems, the company organized in such a way that it can be positioned for growth, be attractive for investors, and all of that stuff. So that is, I absolutely adore growing the ecosystem here in Miami, and I think it's such an exciting place to do business. But there's a long way to go. I think in terms of the ideals that sort of has been set out for Miami to become another tech hub and all those things, we're still a little bit of a far way off. And so I feel proud to be sort of rubbing elbows with some of the key players that are trying to change that about Miami. So little by little.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you started leading the SoGal community in Miami here about a year ago, correct?
Yeah. And that was sort of, after where we met through, oh God, it's just like completely flow.
I know. The other organization,
the other organization, maybe we shouldn't say, but through the other organization, I feel like I was trying to really find the startup community. And previously it was more solopreneurs, Fem City. Yeah, it was more it's a great organization for supporting women. And there was a lot of the women that were in business, right? They were just like in corporate and they were trying to grow internally or starting their own thing as sort of a solopreneur or a service provider. And what I found with Fem City was a little bit of a different type of entrepreneur, which was a little bit more focused on technology and of scalability, growing business, and of course, seeking funding and kind of growing holistically to be able to hire people and kind of make a little bit of a different impact in the community. But my first couple of months with SoGal was really interesting because it was really a study in digging into the ecosystem, doing a lot of just interviews with key players, different foundations that are here trying to kind of drum up excite the investors and to bring together the entrepreneurs. So, there are several accelerator programs, different community groups like CIC, and they do something Venture Cafe.
That's where
there's a lot of groups
originally, I think.
Oh yeah,
that's where we met. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then I dragged you into the city, and then I dragged you into SoGal. Right. I just take people along.
We met at Lacey's branding session.
Oh, you're right. Oh my God, what a flashback. Oh my God. And Lacey, do you follow her? She's in Mexico?
Yeah, we chat sometimes.
Right?
She's
right?
ended up in Mexico.
So crazy. So there are a lot of really great groups sort of individually doing what they can. What I think is cool about SoGal is just the the respect internationally that the group has. So what's funny is when I started the chapter here, there was a lot of these smaller groups that kind of came to me saying, "Oh, I'm so happy that you're here because you have that international reach," right? So our newsletter goes out to tens of thousands of people across the world, and there's a lot of respect within the investor community. So it's been a lot of information gathering and then sort of really identifying the founders that are here that are um, really at the level and really interested in kind of going like up leveling themselves in their businesses, and the ones seeking funding, because there's a lot of women especially, we don't even think to dream that big for ourselves. Like
Yeah.
we think, oh, I'm just going to build this small little lifestyle thing for myself. And I wouldn't imagine going in front of an investor to try to scale this because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what would I, who am I to do that? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that's a little bit of what I'm trying to get out with the events that we do in SoGal, is sort of try to open people's minds to, thinking bigger and
Mm-hmm. I love
asking for a
that.
seat at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and you work with women entrepreneurs. The thing that's just, I guess, boils my blood so much is this idea that we have to just, especially us as moms or wives or partners or whatever, that we have to like grit and bear it to build a business.
Mm.
Where there's a lot of other men that go out and they're saying, no, I mean, I need to raise this amount of money so I can pay myself, not a huge salary, but pay myself to cover my expenses and to hire support and to develop products or whatever. I think a lot of women, we just have this bootstrap mentality, like
Yeah.
bootstrap till
Like
the end,
we have to do it all and
do it all
struggle.
right, scared to be, and I think the idea of women that aren't applying for those grants even or asking for that investment is because they don't believe in themselves enough to say, yes, I'm going to pay this back and get profit and even get more revenue and turn a profit and grow and scale.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot to think like that.
I think a lot of them think they don't deserve. I actually had this same conversation with someone on the phone this morning. They think they don't deserve it, whether it's upbringing, mentality, like subconscious thoughts or whatever. And I think maybe even to become an entrepreneur was like a huge step for them. And then they just like grind and work as hard as they can, but trying to manage a family and kids and everything
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, just to like barely make ends meet. So I
Yeah.
love what you're doing. And I definitely want to get a coffee with you and learn more to
Yeah.
see how I can apply it to my community.
Absolutely. Because I think it is, it is just that. I think that as I have been, I mean, I've been running my own business. This is my fourth year. And I think and I have two kids, and I kind of went into it thinking like, this sort of sucks because you just work and work and work and work. And it was about a year and a half ago that I started thinking like, even if I continue as a service provider, right? And the other service providers that I'm working with, there's no, um, there's no way of growing a business to the point where you can take yourself out.
Yeah.
And that's a very dangerous thing to build. Now, of course, if you're like a therapist or a healer or anything like that, you are the golden goose. You are the asset, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's plenty of other service-based businesses, whether it's consulting or even yoga, as a yoga instructor or a massage therapist, or even those sort of things. There's a way that if you think differently, that you can build a business that's going to grow, that be able to grow sustainably, that you're not just going to have to be the workhorse and the face of it until you burn out,
Mm-hmm.
or you're going to hit a ceiling where you're not going to be able to make more money than the amount of clients that you could serve at a given time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of burning me up. But then there was a lot of, all of these stories I think that I've been hearing through podcasts and how I built this and all these things. I think we really idealize this entrepreneur that just, again, struggles for years. There was one founder that I remember. Her name is Jamie. Ooh, oh, what the hell's her name? She built the makeup company. Anyhow, just talking about just struggling for 10, 15, 20 years before
Mm-hmm.
getting any sort of relief. And I think to myself, there's so many men that go out the gate and they just ask for money to build something and they get it. And maybe they do a poor job. Maybe they have a lot of success. Not every man that goes and asks for funding succeeds.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like women were so scared of failing and trying that we don't even ask. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so I think we're really muffling our voices, of all of the great things that we can bring into the world. We have to fail, we have to fall down and get up and keep going. And that's the only way that we're going to see more larger companies of big impact being headed by women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I just want to switch gears a little bit. So I know you before were running Ugly Boss, but you switched gears. What caused
Okay, honey, don't worry. It's okay.
what
They're
caused
alive.
that pivot in your business?
Yeah, so the Ugly Ventures pivot came through bringing on my partner Juan Pablo, which is was actually the founder that I had worked with through Ugly Boss for many years. I was working as his fractional chief marketing officer, and together we had been coming up against a lot of opportunities where our skills would really complement each other, and we'd be able to do exactly what my mission has always been, is to have women think bigger about their business and give them the tools to grow. And so what the shift was really more a practical brand shift, which is pivoting to the Ugly Ventures makes it a little bit more easy to understand what we do.
Okay.
Ugly Boss, I came with that name because I was always the sales and marketing girl, and always helping founders dig into their revenue, into their numbers, into their systems, and really I loved calling that ugly because I think it's the things that we don't really want to look at. We kind of love looking at the creative piece. We kind of put our head down. We love kind of building things and putting things out into the world, having really great ideas. And I think I'm kind of the bummer in the meeting sometimes that says, okay, well, why don't we take a couple steps back and figure out how we're going to execute this? Look at the data and see if this is really working or not, seeing if if we're meeting our revenue goals. So that's really the position that I've always held as a consulting with companies.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of switching to the Ugly Ventures is just sort of, again, upgrading that a little bit to have that matchmaking piece with the investors as well, because
Mm-hmm.
that I gained a lot of access once I started working with SoGal. A whole world of investors opened up to me, where a lot of the doors are open because of the respect that SoGal has internationally, and how the name was recognized. That I've been able to sit down and connect with VCs across the state and angel investors here in Miami and beyond, and institutional investors. And it's really, the light bulb went off for me saying, wow, I can really help make these introductions, but help get founders ready for this, because a lot of times people don't, women, men, everyone, they're not asking for this because they don't feel prepared. They don't really know how to go about it. And
Yeah.
a lot of these, you need to build the relationship with the investors.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I have been doing that for this past year, and I have a level of trust, and I'm very, of course, careful with what I present in front of them,
Yeah.
but it sort of helps bridge that piece,
Yeah.
because a lot of times founders, they don't, I mean, you're so busy running your business, yes, networking and developing those relationships with investors is really important, but it takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was able to enter that world through the intros that I've had through SoGal and then subsequent intros since then, I understand what amazing it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it still takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
yeah.
awesome though. I mean, yeah, I think women are just trying to figure out their business, never mind like to keep it up and running, never mind like investors but you set up kind of like a mini Shark Tank for people, which
Yeah.
is awesome.
Well, and another thing I want to mention, I think, which is something that I've been really passionate about developing, um, is that I've been able to identify a couple PO investment models, which means Um, really, it's a little bit lower risk for the investor, but basically, if you're able to sell your product and you have that purchase order, that we can very quickly get a loan for the amount, as long as the purchase order is right. And the reason why that was a passion of mine to develop is this, especially for women. I think for investors, things that are very scalable, things that are very tech driven, the kind of the VC model is wanting to invest in those types of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Angels, of course, have limited funds, and here in South Florida, there's there's a limitation, right, of resources.
Mm-hmm.
And so the amount of investors that are interested in investing in someone's lifestyle brand, right? Say you make candles. It's not really something that a VC to invest in a women's candle business would be so attractive
Mm-hmm.
traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
But for many people that have excellent products that could get maybe they can get their product into Target or they can get their product into Walmart. The only thing that's stopping them is not the lack of passion or the quality of the product. It's the idea of like, oh, if I get an order with Target, how the hell am I going to come up with, $7 million or whatever it is to produce the item, get it to market, all to actually fulfill what that purchase order is.
Yeah.
And so finding these kind of alternative types of funding has been really interesting for me because I think it's a way that we can really that can really help women, especially in this area where a lot of it is a lot of lifestyle driven stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen incredible products like even cakes or yogurt, vegan yogurts, or hair product for kinky hair products and things like that that are really needed in the marketplace. It's just about getting to the next level, being able to lift these founders to be able to accept, right, these types of
Mm-hmm.
deals. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. And I'm so happy for you. And I'm happy that you were able to make that pivot and, combine it with what you're truly passionate about, because as we know,
Yeah.
that's so important.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and it's so interesting because when we had originally chatted, I think we were both sort of in that place of like,
yeah.
there needs to be a pivot kind of. And
Yeah.
it's funny because I've seen you, I mean, of course, you've been doing excellent as well. And I think you have so many exciting things up the pike on your side too. So
Thank you.
I think these things, I seem like there's a lot of, sort of resources out there say, find out your passion or do all these things. And I think it really is a process. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And it's a
Yeah.
process of, I thought like just being a VA and like, oh yeah, I can travel, like that's great. But if I wasn't enjoying the work I was doing, so I was like, I got to figure
Yeah.
something else out.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
and yeah, being passionate about what you do is so important.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears just a little bit quickly. We're almost out of time, but we started late, so that's okay. I just have another
Yeah.
interview in a little while. But
Yes. Go.
oh, the event yesterday. I wanted to highlight that and just tell
Yes.
everybody kind of, I myself have been trying to educate more. I mentioned that my partner is African American, or not African American, he's Brazilian, but of color, and just trying to do what I can and figure out the best way to go. And so you had this event yesterday. Go ahead.
So Kemi, yeah. So Kemi Joseph is like I don't know how to describe him. He's like a force.
Yeah.
So we met at Tony Robbins Unleash the Power. It was so funny because that event is, I don't know who out there is familiar with that event. It's a very famous event. And back in last November, it's like a love fest of energy, good energy and positivity. And we like met in passing, and he like had this sequence blazer on, and I just remember kept running into him and was just like, I need to know this person. And so for the last year, we've been sort of developing a friendship and me really understanding the work that he does. So he really is, a youth leader, and he goes also does corporate training and a lot about diversity and integration and how to sort of on a like a systematic kind of in a systems level implement, different programs that start conversations and sort of build that level of like equity and diversity within organizations, and also of course educating youth. So with everything that's been going on in the world recently, I just felt, again, what we were talking about yesterday, this call to like do something but not know what that possibly is.
Yeah.
And so when I called Kemi to just see what the heck he was up to, and what sort of messages he was uh, like communicating, during this time. And I had seen one of his Facebook lives that just like brought me to tears. And I was like, I just need to get you in a workshop or something. So we
Mm-hmm.
had organized, a transcending prejudice mini workshop yesterday, through Fem City, no, through SoGal, of course, through SoGal. And so that was like a hour session, more or less. And it was really like an open ended, I mean, really the things that I think I had summarized at the end of saying it's sort of about making that kind of very slight 10-degree shift
Mm-hmm.
from going from a place where it's like, okay, I'm a compassionate person, I'm motivated, or I feel the call to do something, but I feel stuck. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the questions that he posed in this workshop was really interesting about opening your mind to, understanding what work that you need to do personally to be able to make positive impact. Because he had put that pyramid he put up was really impactful too, which is
Mm-hmm.
sort of like, how is change really made? And
Mm-hmm.
it goes from the individual all the way to changing the world, and understanding where your circle of influence is,
Mm-hmm.
and being realistic on the things that you can do to help make positive change. So I would say for you also to share, he has a workshop on Friday, so I put it through LinkedIn and things like that. But I'm trying to help promote that for him as well. um,
I
that's like a longer training. Yeah,
I would love to attend, but I have a bunch of important calls
I
tomorrow.
know.
It was like
Same here, but he's
last
going to
minute.
turn it into like an evergreen product.
Good.
So definitely both of us. I mean, I'll definitely get that.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
would
I,
like to say that he didn't even speak for that long, and we did a bunch of exercises, and they were like mind blowing. Like I was like,
yeah,
it just opened my mind so much with a few, like you said, 10% shift, like small shift of a way to look at something or think about one of the themes and it was just like, wow, this guy is amazing and such a great
yeah,
personality and a beautiful smile and just like is a presence, like
yeah,
online, I'm sure in person, it's probably even more. So,
yeah. No, I know. So, I mean, I think again, and I think that there's what made me really think about as well was just this idea. I think that there's so many, the average person, because I've definitely fallen victim to this, but I believe that this is sort of the average, is that by the big questions and the really big problems, we get so paralyzed that we don't do anything,
mm-hmm,
right? And I
mm-hmm,
think, um, and even feeling guilty for the small things that we do because even you were saying how you had organized like a little conversation as well.
mm-hmm,
And I think that there's that guilt of being like, is that enough or whatever? And I think the point of yesterday's conversation ended being like, you know what, it doesn't, don't ever feel shame or guilt for trying to do something, or feel like, just keep going. The
mm-hmm,
point is not to focus on how others perceive it or to feel guilt or whatever. Is that if you feel called to do something, don't feel guilty that that's not enough, but just be called to do the next thing and the next thing, because
mm-hmm,
it's not a this is not a one, none of these big questions are a one and done.
mm-hmm.
So I think it's really about looking at that circle of influence and saying, well, if I can help get a conversation started in my own family, that's also doing something positive.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be knocking down the door of, of your local government and get in protesting. It doesn't have to be just that.
yeah.
I think there's a lot of conversations that have to happen. The other family and friends that I've been talking to, and just hearing about, you know, people's feelings of talking to their own parents, for example, or their siblings or whatever. I think there's conversations that have to start happening around the dinner table that maybe they haven't happened before, So
Mm-hmm.
these small things also make a difference, I think.
Every little bit helps for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So keeps helping spread the word about his Friday workshop. I'm gonna do the same.
Yes.
And
So
yeah,
what's next? We have to like end things soon, but what's
yeah.
next for you? Like, what are you're just focusing on SoGal or more your business or?
Yeah, my next step is really working to integrate a little bit more the two pieces. So I've sort of kept them separate. But again, I've had so many founders coming to me that and people that I've in turn worked with, but it's sort of joining that a little bit more to put the pieces together, just to strengthen sort of the SoGal effort here and to also strengthen the way that I can help and serve. So and what I'm in the middle of developing is really a little bit of a diversifying the way that I help founders. So, for some founders, I'm actually in on their team and I'm working in operations, and I am working still as a fractional CMO for a handful of, but again, that has a ceiling, and I want to be able to serve people fully. So I also am, creating sort of different tiers. So 1-day workshops, which I've done with several founders as well, but I haven't really standardized all of these engagements, right? And then doing something that's a little bit more passive, where I can just help give people the instruction manual for saying, like, listen, I've ran sales and marketing departments for the past 10 plus years. It's the piece of the puzzle, I think, that is missing for so many people. They feel so overwhelmed by marketing because there's so many pieces of it, the SEO and the website and the newsletter and the social.
And it keeps changing.
And it keeps changing. And I think it's also really hard. I think you can feel this as a VA. There's a lot of people that even are hiring subcontractors or VAs. It's hard because maybe the person that's hiring them don't really know how to create that holistic strategy that ties their sales and marketing. And managers or interns and even VAs that come in, it's confusing for them. Even me, when I'm developing that, I have to get the founders to ask some serious questions about how they set their sales up, what their revenue targets are. And I think that's why I'm able to go in and be very effective, because I'm that bridge. But a lot of people don't afford to have a marketing director on their team. So I'm trying to give people the tools to think like a sales and marketing director for their own business. So it doesn't feel like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. And then you have a lot of maybe subcontractors or marketing managers that are working very hard, but they just don't simply have the skills to be able to put all of the pieces together. That's going to and that's going to translate into the profit and the revenue. So that's this has been my mission for years and years, but I think it's about, again, crystallizing how to really help people. And that's a process. I wish I could cut the time in half to do that. And I've had so many coaches and programs and all those things that even when you do that, I think there is a level of just time,
Yeah.
So, and all of those things that you invest in really help get you there quicker. But it's still a level of there's no one quick fix to make business be working perfectly.
Learn everything, and especially when it keeps changing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I love what you're doing. Thank you.
Yeah,
so much
and
for your
same.
time.
And whatever you, honestly, with how you're building things out here in Miami, please, I'm so happy to help make intros and things like that as well.
Oh, thank you.
I think that's very exciting.
Well, we definitely have to meet for coffee. I'm in the planning stages of that. It just kind of hit me Friday, kind of this past week. It's officially registered as a separate LLC from my freelance and freedom business now as of Friday. Yeah. So we'll see.
Congratulations.
Going forward. Thanks.
Another baby you're birthing.
Another one. Yeah, no time for kids, just business.
No, I know, but it's a lot of work, so.
Yeah, but again, it's not so much work when you love it, so we'll see.
Perfect.
But let's stay in touch. I will shoot you a text. Let's get something on the calendar. And have a beautiful weekend.
Thank you. You too. Thank you for this. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm so glad we made it happen. All right, I will send you. I'm gonna upload it to YouTube, and I'll send you the link after.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you. Bye. Thanks, everyone. Bye.